In solo leveling, after Sung Jinwoo heard that Jinho went missing after being escorted by hunters from the Scavenger Guild, he suddenly left the hotel in a split second, rushing across the city as quickly as possible, summoning hundreds of shadow soldiers, ordering them to find him at all cost. Back in the Scavenger Guild's headquarters, bodies lay on the floor as Thomas Andre, the national level hunter, and his men arrive at the scene, taking off his sunglasses, saying, "He's really done it now." Crushing the glasses to pieces, telling his men to find Hwang Dong-soo before Sung Jinwoo does, saying they must find him first, no matter what. At the top of a building, Rizzy Woo stands there looking menacingly, while simultaneously sharing the senses of multiple shadow soldiers in order to find Jinho's location. He questions whether he had left the city, but is confused since normal people wouldn't be able to take him down or kidnap him even in significant numbers, since he's a D-rank hunter after all. And if a car that's supposed to be headed for the Hunter Bureau's headquarters suddenly tried to leave the city, Jinho would have definitely noticed something was wrong and resist. The only clue the culprits left is that they were with the Scavenger Guild, making Jinwoo finally realize that Hwang Dong-suk's younger brother, Hwang Dong-soo, must have been waiting for them to arrive in America for a while in order to find out the truth about his brother's death. In solo leveling, after Sung Jinwoo's future brother-in-law was believed to have been kidnapped by members of the Scavenger Guild, he sent hundreds of shadow soldiers in order to find his location, with the prime suspect of the kidnapping being the S-ranker Hwang Dong-soo, since Jinwoo and Jinho were the sole survivors of the dungeon where his older brother Hwang Dong-suk had died, so he must be certain they were the ones who had killed him. Jinwoo flashes back to the time Jin Chul warned him something like this could happen, saying that even though he doesn't regret what he did back then, this situation would have never happened had he left a guard with him back there. Thinking that if anything were to happen to Jinho, the panel switches over to Thomas Andre asking his subordinate if there was still no news of Hwang Dong-soo's location. "No, sir," he responded, making Andre question if he really wasn't afraid to die, saying that since he's an S-rank, he should be very well aware of the difference in strength between Jinwoo and himself, meaning that despite knowing how stupid his actions are, he knows he'd step up on his behalf if a problem were to arise. "Perhaps I've been too kind to my hunters," he thought while calling Secretary Laura, asking how the situation was looking. She responded saying that with the help of the Hunter Bureau, they analyzed Hwang Dong-soo's movement patterns over the last month, and there were 3 instances where he left his usual pattern. Thomas Andre ordered her to send all their hunters to those locations, and that he would be there soon, and asked how she managed to convince the Hunter Bureau to cooperate with them. She responded saying she told them that if they didn't find Hwang Dong-soo soon enough, the great Thomas Andre and Sung Jinwoo would duke it out, right here and right now. The deputy director is shocked, asking if it really was all 100 of them. Adam White responds, saying that all their scheduled raids had just been canceled, and that they were all moving as they speak. The deputy director thought that if all members of the Scavenger Guild were on the move, then it meant Thomas Andre was behind it, meaning the situation is big, and asked himself what the hell was going on. At an abandoned factory in the middle of nowhere, an unnamed hunter asked if he was sure doing this was really okay. Hwang Dong-soo responded saying he's not planning to do anything to him, since there's just one thing he wants to know. He thought that even though his daddy Thomas warned him not to touch Sung Jinwoo, he never planned on messing with him in the first place, since there's one more person who can provide him the answers he seeks. If he just tells him honestly about what exactly happened to his brother in the dungeon, he would just let him go without a scratch, saying that there's just one answer he wanted to hear, and that is that Sung Jinwoo had killed his brother, and as soon as he hears that, he's done with Yoo Jinho. Dong-soo slaps him on the face, telling him to wake up, and then punches him hard on the chest, making Jinho spew blood, shouting at him to wake up once more. The guy in the back starts yapping, saying he was pretty durable since any normal human would have been dead by now, but Dong-soo just frustratedly questions why he was being so stubborn, calling him a naive-looking MF. He suddenly slams Jinho's head on the wall, telling him to listen up since he didn't want to kill him, He explained that the guy in the back was a pretty decent healer, meaning he was going to save him every time it seemed like he was on the brink of death, meaning that until he told him what he wanted to know, he would be tortured here forever, and since they're currently in an abandoned factory that's been closed for 5 years, there would be nobody here to save him, no matter how loud he screamed. Off, Jinho spoke softly, making Hwang Dong-soo question what he wanted to say, and as he tried to speak again, he said, "Fuck off." In Solo Leveling, after Jinho was getting tortured by Hwang Dong-soo and his lackeys in order to find out the truth about his brother's murder, he responded telling them to go fuck themselves, which infuriated Dong-soo, making him slam his head against the steel pillar hard ASF for his answer. The guy in the back warned Dong-soo to be careful since he didn't want to deal with murder just for money. He responded saying he'd be careful of that, and asked if they should get started. The guy in the back questioned if he hadn't found out enough from him already, but Dong-soo responded asking what he was talking about since this was only the beginning. He suddenly noticed something strange out of the corner of his eyes as a shadow soldier stood there just watching. Dong-soo started taking off his jacket as the hunters in the back questioned if a dungeon break had occurred nearby or something. But seeing how the orc was shaking in its boots, they thought he must have been shitting in his pants, seeing Hwang Dong-soo's immaculate aura. He suddenly launched a punch towards the soldier, saying he didn't have time to mess around. And as the orc was about to receive the impact, a command came across its mind which said, "Exchange." Back in Korea, Sung Jinwoo's mom and sister are chilling on the couch as his mother worried about how he was doing. Baru in the back stated that if there was anything that Drippy Woo could not withstand, then nobody in this world would be safe from it. The news of Rizzy Woo's arrival hit Korea, making both Gina and his mother surprised since they could finally see him. Baru suddenly felt a shock of energy course through his being, stating that he had only felt this feeling once before. The king is enraged. Diddy Woo attempted to heal him with a health potion in order for him to recover his injuries, but the system informed him that it was impossible to use healing potions to recover a being's health if it's under 10%, making Drippy Woo menacingly ask the two hunters next to him if either of them were healers, threatening them to heal Jinho right now. One of the hunters nervously responded saying he didn't really understand Korean, but Hwang Dong-soo, recovering from Jin Woo's blow, translates that he was asking them to heal the guy and asked Drippy Woo if this was the first time they've met in person. Rizzy Woo, tired of all the yapping, said that he would only say this one more time, "Heal him." The healer responded nervously that he should convince his boss first, before he, Drippy Woo, suddenly grabbed the hunter's face in the fraction of a second, slamming him against a steel pipe. And as he lays there lifeless, the other hunter, scared out of his mind, shouted saying that Dong-soo never said anything about this job being related to Drippy Woo, as he asked if he was also a healer. He repeated the question to the hunter, but as soon as he responded saying the word no, he slammed his entire body on the ground with immense pressure. Dong-soo walked towards Drippy Woo, saying it was just as he thought. "It was you, the one who killed my brother Hwang Dong-soo." Jinho, on the brink of death, called for his papa, telling him that he was Hwang Dong-sook's younger brother, saying he should be careful. Drippy Woo looks back at him, responding that he shouldn't talk anymore since soon he would get his revenge. Dong-soo told Drippy Woo to answer his question, asking if he truly was the one who killed his brother and his teammates. He responded saying to go ask his brother himself, which infuriated Dong-soo for his response, launching a sudden attack with his right fist at full power. But Drippy Woo manages to dodge the attack with ease, quickly counterattacking with a devastating blow to Dong-soo's gut, making him spew blood, which suddenly launched him outside of the factory and crashing into a steel beam. Dong-soo grits his teeth, but without even being able to catch his breath, he quickly looks to his side, seeing Drippy Woo just standing there nonchalantly. Dong-soo tries to go for another attack, lunging at him once more, but considering how slow he was, Drippy Woo raises his hand, slamming his entire face into the beam, and stands over him like he's his big daddy. He raises the hunter's head once again, as loud slams could be heard from the distance, with Drippy Woo relentlessly slamming Dong-soo's head into the ground. Thomas Andre suddenly arrives at the scene, saying to stop right there, telling Dong-soo that he's repeatedly told him not to touch Jinwoo and asked him if he was still even alive. He responded saying, "For now," making Andre tell him that if he understood English this much, then it would be easier to communicate, saying that if he lets him go right now, he'll let what has happened so far slide. He responded asking what would happen if he were to refuse, making Andre say that if that were the case, then it wouldn't be a request anymore.